مشاهدينا الأعزاء، أهلا وسهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج اسأل المدير. في ظل الظروف الصعبة والتحديات التي تواجهها الأونروا في الفترة الأخيرة، وفي ظل ازدياد الطلب على خدمات الأونروا بسبب الأوضاع الصعبة التي يمر بها اللاجئون الفلسطينيون، وجب علينا استيضاح هذه الظروف والتحديات القائمة حاليا. لاستيضاح ذلك معنا في الاستوديو السيد ماتياس شمالي، مدير شؤون الأونروا في غزة. Matthias, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Matthias, lately UNRWA has been going through some difficult times, in specific the financial situation that UNRWA is going through. Can you please give us an update about the latest challenges and latest statistics?
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity to answer some questions and to give some important information. So on the financial situation, after an incredibly successful fundraising effort in 2018, following the cut of the American funding, last year and unfortunately turned out not to be successful. For the first time, or as successful, for the first time since 2012, we got less than $1 billion income for the agency as a whole. Since 2012, this was the first time. And it seems that is indicating a little bit of a trend. So we are worried about this year. It seems that the indications are that the fundraising effort will again be of a similar magnitude. In other words, we'll be lucky if we get the 966 million that we got last year. And for this reason, the Commissioner General has decided that all of us, not just Gaza, all fields and all departments, have to look at spending only 90% of the approved budget. That means, concretely for Gaza, that we have to identify about $23 million worth of expenditure that for the moment should be kept on hold. So it's important that the message is not we're cutting. We're simply saying at this point, not being certain of our income, we should prioritize in such a way that we do not spend 10% of the approved budget. And that's the process in which we currently are involved in.
But what is your currently ask?
So the overall ask for the program budget, which, as you know, funds our core services like our schools, our 276 schools in Gaza, or 22 health centers. The overall ask for the agency, including Gaza, is $805 million. And the predictions are that the income will be much less than $805 million. So again, we have to find a way of dealing with that. Allow me to also say something about the emergency appeal, because I know there's quite a number of colleagues, to be precise, around 750 colleagues who depend on the income for the emergency appeal. On the emergency appeal as well, we have seen a slow decrease in income over the last few years, even in 2018. So if I remember correctly, we have moved from an income of about 145 million back in 2017. This is for the OPT, so including the West Bank and East Jerusalem, to last year 85 million. So that's a significant drop. And the colleagues in our fundraising team are at the moment predicting that we may only get 55 to 60 million this year. Mm-hmm. Now that would be a serious challenge. That would impact our food operation in particular, but also the colleagues working on the emergency appeal. Now our priority is to try and keep all the services to refugees going and to protect as much as we can job security and jobs. But we will have to see. The outlook is rather pessimistic at this point.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If you think that these figures and the lack of funding, that crisis, if it's going to have an impact on providing the services, are we going to be able to continue business as usual in 2020? What are your predictions?
Allow me to first point out that after losing $360 million from the United States, it is remarkable that we have not closed a single school, we've not closed a single health center, and we've continued providing food to over 1 million people by now. And it is our intention to do the same this year. So I do not foresee that we will stop any of our services. That's not the question. I think the main question is, will we have enough money to do the full scale that we know needs to be done? In other words, the challenge may be at some point that we have to reduce the scale of some of the services, but not stop. So as far as I'm concerned, and I know the Commissioner General shares this, we are confident there will be no closures. There may be reduction in scope and scale.
While we film the next episode, we hope that there will be an update on this financial situation. But please allow me to move to another subject, which is about relations between staff association, staff union, and the management, where we lately have followed some news about some sort, if you allow me to call it a dispute, it might be the wrong terminology, between the local staff union and the UNRWA management. Is this true? That they announced that they are freezing any communication, that they are cutting any communication with the management? If you can put us in the picture about what happened and what your expectations are.
My experience over many years, not just in UNRWA, of dealing with staff representatives and unions is that there will be stormy times from time to time, because the interests that we have to protect as union and as management are not always the same. The unions, understandably, are looking primarily at staff matters and are looking at things through that lens, protecting staff. As director of operations, I have to look at the full picture of providing services to 1.4 million refugees in Gaza. And these two interests are not always entirely the same. So I think it is not particularly surprising that over the almost 2.5 years that I've been in Gaza, we've had some stormy meetings, including a recent one where we simply disagreed. And it got a bit loud. I at some point banged my fist on the table in frustration. Now, unfortunately, as a result of this rather stormy encounter, which was basically about differences of opinion on how to manage the future, the union did indeed announce that they are stopping communication with me. I regret that, because I think stopping communication is never a good way forward. I think the past 2.5 years, and long before that, other directors before me have shown that if we work together to overcome problems, we will be successful. Shouting at each other and blocking communication with each other is never a way of finding solutions. So my hope is that after their initial anger, that maybe is also understandable, the union will calm down and will come back to the table so that we can talk about practical solutions to the many challenges we have. Allow me to say something more specific about the issues about which we've had some disagreement with the LSU, with the union. There are two main parts to this. One is the about 750 emergency appeal funded staff, as I mentioned earlier, that are understandably feeling insecure about their future. At the moment, because of our financial constraints and the outlook I've talked about in terms of funding this year, I've only been given the authority to extend emergency appeal funded contracts on a monthly basis. I actually agree with the union that this is not good. And I continue to be in discussions with headquarters to get longer term periods of extensions, and I hope at some point, if our income situation improves, we'll be able to do so. So this is one point about which we disagreed. The other point is, you will remember that in 2018 we sadly had to separate from a number of colleagues. We made a commitment to about 70 of them to try and find them new jobs as they become available. We've actually found almost 30 for 70 of these people new jobs, and we continue to try what we can. Again, the issue is not that management doesn't want to help and find solutions. We do. We are constrained by available jobs and funding.
But do you expect any escalation from the side of the local staff union? Do you expect that, or do you see that if, God forbid, any escalation happens, that this might have an impact, might affect running the services to the refugees and the most needy ones?
My understanding is that the union, unfortunately, is threatening some escalation. I hope they will not move ahead with that, because, to repeat, I think blocking each other from working and not talking to each other is not a good way of solving problems, and it also gives the wrong message to the world. You know, when we are asking the international community to give us money to run our services, it sends the wrong message if then our services get closed because of internal disputes. Donors will not give us more money if they see our offices are closed, our schools are closed. So I sincerely hope that we will not reach a point of escalation as we've seen back in 2018, because I honestly think that will help no one, least of all the 1.4 million refugees that need our services. But it will also not bring solutions to the problems we have around job security and continuity of staff contracts. The way to solve that is to talk to each other and to then send a joint message to the international community about the needs we have, including staff needs and the financial resources that we require to do a proper job.
Allow me to take a short break and then we will resume. مشاهدينا الأعزاء، فاصل قصير ومن ثم نواصل هذا الحوار. أهلا بكم من جديد. Now, Matthias, we will be taking some questions from the refugees, the public, as they reached us. One of the questions says from one of the refugees, he wrote to us saying, or I think it was a she, I graduated in 2013 and I have not benefited from any of the temporary work contracts provided by UNRWA or NGOs, and I believe she's referring to the JCP. I would appreciate your assistance in providing me a job opportunity as my financial situation is very difficult. Knowing the job creation program is essential for a number of refugees, the needy ones, and also the fresh graduates. Can you please shed some light and update on the job creation program?
Yes, that's a very important question raised by this individual. I can tell you that almost on a daily basis, I directly get messages from refugees asking me exactly those kinds of questions. There are undoubtedly, with rising poverty, rising unemployment in Gaza, many thousands of people in the unfortunate situation like this lady, waiting for opportunities to at least earn a little bit of money. Now, last year, the main support for the so-called JCP program, the Job Creation Program, came from Qatar. We got $13 million from Qatar last year. That was the main input. We got a few other amounts, but the main support was from Qatar. And just to give you a sense of dimension here, the $13 million we got from the Qataris enabled us to, if I remember correctly, create about 9,000 opportunities. Now, we currently have over 260,000 people on a waiting list for JCP opportunities. So you can see with $13 million, that sounds like a lot of money, we were able to create 9,000 opportunities. So you can figure out how much money we need to be able to meet all these needs. We are continuing to mobilize funding for this. We've got some pledges for this year, so we will be able to create further opportunities through this year, and we'll do the best we can to help individuals like this lady who sent the question.
A second question says, I have 2 children with disabilities and I need a source of income to meet their needs. The demand on UNRWA services is increasing, while, as you mentioned earlier, the resources are decreasing, our income is decreasing. How do you plan to work to meet increasing needs with less income, while at the same time maintaining high quality of services? That's a challenge in itself.
Yes. No, indeed, very challenging. What I appreciate about this question in particular is that while many people are poor, we are saying 80% of the refugees by now live under the poverty line. We have among the poor particularly vulnerable groups, and I think children in general, single-headed households, and people living with disability, and especially children, are vulnerable. And when you have less and less resources, I think it is the right management decision to try and focus on the most vulnerable among the poor. And these people with disability, and children in particular, belong to that group. Now, the question was, how are we going to cope with this? 2 ways. One is we have big emphasis on inclusion. So we will try to do more to ensure that children with disability can fully participate in our schools. That's one aspect. That doesn't necessarily cost extra money. We are trying to build new schools in a more disability-friendly way so that access is guaranteed. And we are working with the education staff to ensure that the needs of these children are particularly catered for. And I could talk similarly about inclusion in our health centers and so on. So inclusion of people with disability in our regular services is one way we're trying to cater to these needs. The other one is working with community-based organizations. We've for years had good relations with rehabilitation centers for people with disability, and we are in an intense process. We've just had our disability advisor from headquarters here this week. We're in an intense process to see how can we help the community-based organizations continue providing vital services for people who cannot be integrated into our services. And we've got some prospects of being able to help the community-based organizations mobilize their own resources, not from UNRWA, but from other donors, to continue these services, because there is clearly in the donor community some interest in supporting particularly these vulnerable groups. And not everything has to come through UNRWA. We think that these community-based organizations are strong, are good, and deserve support in their own right for the purpose of serving these people.
Another refugee wrote to us saying, I live in East Rafah. My home was destroyed in the conflict of 2014. I don't have a shelter and I don't get any assistance. I have a family of 7 members and I don't have a job. The issue of the shelter reconstruction has been going on for some time, about the demolished houses. Can you give us an update in that area, please?
So it is another important question what we are doing about people waiting to be supported with the rehabilitation of their homes after the 2014 war. The first thing I'd like to say about this is we should recognize there has been enormous achievement. This is not an answer to this individual, particularly still waiting for support, but I think there are thousands of people who have been supported by our area teams, by our engineering teams, by our social workers in an admirable way. And the glass is half full, not half empty. We've done a lot and we should always build on achievement and success. In terms of the future and completing this caseload, I would like to just give you again a sense of the dimension. We need about $70 million to complete this work, $70 million. It's a huge amount of money. We are continuing to try and mobilize these funds from donors amongst all the other priorities we have. So I cannot make concrete promises other than We will try to find the money, and if we find the money, we will again prioritize the most needy and see what we can do to complete the work.
Matthias, my last question to you is about the recent issue of the deal of the century, an issue that is going around across the world, but with more interest to the Middle East. And my question is specifically about UNRWA in that document. Do you believe that the mention in the deal of the century might have an impact on UNRWA existence and UNRWA functioning?
So the first comment I would like to make about this is that for UNRWA, the relevant decisions are being taken by the General Assembly of the United Nations. Our bosses are not one or two countries that make announcement in their capital city. Our bosses are sitting in the General Assembly and take decisions together about the future of UNRWA. Now, you will know that very recently, back in early December, 170 member states voted for a continuation of the mandate of UNRWA. So for us, there is absolutely no doubt that the international community sees the need and supports the need for UNRWA's continued existence, and that has not been changed by the announcement that was made recently in Washington. Allow me also to acknowledge that, of course, we have to recognize that for many refugees, Palestine refugees, for many colleagues, this has been very unsettling. And especially the references to UNRWA that you mentioned. So I'm not saying let's completely ignore this. We need to recognize that it is deeply unsettling for many refugees and staff. Now, my view on this would be, I hope that as management of UNRWA, we can assure you that we will fight for UNRWA's continued services as long as we can and as long as they are needed. UNRWA's existence is tied to finding a just solution that is agreed by both sides to the conflict, meaning the Palestinians and the Israelis, but the Palestinians have to agree to a solution. And this, for me, is the major flaw with the so-called deal of the century. It is a one-sided deal and not one that has been agreed by two sides. So we will in UNRWA continue to provide the services as we are mandated to do, while we also, together with the whole UN system, including Mr. Guterres, the Secretary General, will urge the international community to find a just solution, because the way to deal with UNRWA's existence into the future is to find a just solution. Once there's a just solution accepted by the refugees and the Palestinian community, we can start talking about the future of UNRWA in seriousness.
Well, Matthias, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
إذا مشاهدينا الأعزاء، في ختام هذه الحلقة لا يسعني إلا أن أشكركم على حسن المتابعة، بانتظار أسئلتكم على البريد الإلكتروني الظاهر في أسفل الشاشة. إلى أن ألقاكم في الحلقة القادمة، هذه ميلينا شاهين تحييكم وإلى اللقاء.